Events leading up to the Battle of Bunker Hill. After the battles of Lexington and Concord, the British forces retreated to Boston. The colonial forces, under the command of General Artemas Ward, began surrounding the city, effectively besieging it. The British, led by General Thomas Gage, were confined to Boston, with their only supply route by sea. The American leadership, including Ward and colonial militia officers, understood the necessity of controlling the heights around Boston. These high grounds, particularly Breed's Hill and Bunker Hill, if fortified, could command Boston Harbor and make the British position untenable. On June 15, 1775, the Massachusetts Committee of Safety learned that the British were planning to fortify these hills. Deciding to act first, they ordered the construction of fortifications on Bunker Hill. However, due to a miscommunication or tactical choice, the main effort shifted to Breed's Hill, which was closer to Boston. Construction of redoubts. On the night of June 16 to 17, 1775, American troops, largely composed of New England militiamen, moved onto the Charlestown Peninsula under the cover of darkness. They began constructing a redoubt, an earthen fortification, on Breed's Hill, completing it by dawn. The Battle of Bunker Hill, June 17, 1775, the site of the American fortification at dawn, shocked the British. General Gage decided to attack to dislodge the rebels, seeing the fortifications as a direct threat to his control over Boston. First assault. The British sent a mixed force of about 2,400 men across the Charles River to Charlestown. The plan was to attack from three sides, but the narrowness of the peninsula forced them into a frontal assault. Around noon, the British landed at Morton's Point and advanced under heavy fire from the American position. The first assault was repelled with significant British casualties, due to the effectiveness of the American defense and the delay in British artillery support. Second assault. After regrouping and reinforcing, the British launched a second attack, this time with artillery support. Again, they were turned back with heavy losses. The American forces, running low on ammunition, were instructed to withhold fire until the enemy was very close, famously ordered as, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes." The British, now desperate and learning from their previous assaults, mounted a third attack. This time, with their ranks thinned, the Americans were critically short on ammunition. After fierce hand-to-hand combat at the redoubt, the Americans began to withdraw, realizing their position was untenable. The retreat was orderly, with the Americans falling back across the neck of the peninsula, which was fortified with a rail fence, allowing them to cover their retreat effectively. The British technically won the battle by capturing the Charlestown Peninsula and the hill, but at a great cost. Over 1,000 British soldiers were killed or wounded, including many officers, compared to 450 American casualties. Despite the retreat, the battle was seen as a moral victory for the American side, demonstrating that colonial forces could stand up to British regulars. It also showed the British that suppressing the rebellion would not be as straightforward as they anticipated. The British gained control of the Charlestown Peninsula, but did not pursue the retreating Americans further. Instead, they fortified their position in Boston. The battle delayed any immediate British offensive operations, giving time for the colonial forces to organize further under the newly appointed Commander-in-Chief George Washington. This battle, while a tactical loss for the Americans, significantly boosted colonial morale, showcased their capability in combat, and underscored the determination of the American forces, which played a crucial role in the early stages of the Revolutionary War. Here's a 5-question quiz on the provided text about the fortification of Boston and the Battle of Bunker Hill. Who was in command of the colonial forces during the Siege of Boston? A. General Thomas Gage. B. General Artemas Ward. C. George Washington. D. William Howe. Which hill was initially targeted for fortification by the colonial forces, but was changed due to tactical decisions? A. Bunker Hill. B. Breed's Hill. C. Dorchester Heights. D. Beacon Hill. Why did the British decide to attack the American fortifications? A. To expand their territory in Boston. B. Because they saw the fortifications as a direct threat. C. To capture American supplies. D. As a response to an American offensive. What was the famous order given to the American troops during the battle? A. Don't fire until you hear the trumpet. B. Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. C. Stand firm, men. D. Retreat if necessary. What was one significant outcome of the Battle of Bunker Hill for the American forces? A. They gained control of Boston Harbor. B. It was seen as a moral victory, boosting colonial morale. C. They lost the battle but gained no strategic advantage. D. The British immediately launched a counter-offensive. The Battle of Bunker Hill, although a tactical defeat for the American militia, was a pivotal moment in the American Revolution. It illustrated the determination and spirit of the colonial forces, who, despite lacking in formal training and supplies, managed to inflict substantial casualties on the well-trained British Army. This engagement not only delayed British military operations, but also galvanized the American cause, drawing more colonists to the fight for independence. The battle's legacy is one of resilience. It proved that the British would not easily quell the uprising, setting the stage for the prolonged struggle for American independence.